Alrighty guys, The Last of Us Season 2 is still underway, and it is about to wrap up in just a little bit with the finale to Season 2. So obviously, let's talk about Season 4 of The Last of Us. No, seriously, let's talk about Season 4 of The Last of Us. So, The Last of Us Season 2 is based off of the video game The Last of Us Part 2. Just like how The Last of Us Season 1 was based off of the first game, The Last of Us. And now Season 2 is underway, and we have the adaptation of the second game, except the second season is not adapting the entire second game. It turns out, and this was reported a while ago, well before the season came out, well before even trailers were coming out for Season 2, that The Last of Us Season 2 was going to adapt the first half of the game being The Last of Us Part 2, and that if everything went to plan, Season 3 would be adapting the second half. So The Last of Us Seasons 2 and 3 would be encompassing all of The Last of Us Part 2. But then recently, CRAIG MAZIN, who is the showrunner for The Last of Us and The Last of Us Season 2, has actually come out and said, no, not so fast. It's not that Season 3 or The Last of Us Part 2 is going to be split into Seasons 2 and 3, but actually, you're going to need a Season 4 to wrap up the entire story. So this is the full quote, and I have some thoughts about this. I think there are some good things here, and then there's something that I'm a little bit nervous about. We'll get to that in just a second. So this is the full quote here from CRAIG MAZIN about Season 4 of The Last of Us. He says, quote, again, talking about Season 4 and the context of Season 3 and Season 2 anyways. Quote, yeah, and it would take forever. There are natural perforations in the narrative where you can go, okay, let's tear it here. I think there's a decent chance that Season 3 will be longer than Season 2, just because the manner of that narrative and the opportunities it affords us are a little different. The thing about Joel's death, spoilers, sorry, for Season 2, but that was a few weeks ago, is that it's so impactful. It's such a narrative nuclear bomb that it's hard to wander away from it. We can't really take a break and move off to the side and do a Bill and Frank story. I'm not sure that will necessarily be true for Season 3. I think we'll have a little more room in there, but certainly there's no way to complete the narrative in the third season. Hopefully we'll earn our keep enough to come back and finish it in a fourth. That's the most likely outcome. Okay. Like I said, I have a couple thoughts about this, and one is more positive and one is a little bit more negative / cautious. The first thing, more Last of Us. Great. This show in general has been some of the highest quality storytelling and television I've seen in a long, long time. HBO just knows how to make amazing television. Even shows like Dune Prophecy, which I didn't love, it swung for the fences. Then you have Penguin, and then you have The Last of Us. And it's just been hit after hit after hit, and it's just a masterclass in telling complicated stories with nuanced characters and really diving into trauma and grief and love and loss and things like that. So it's great. I mean, more seasons of The Last of Us, amazing. Sign me up. I'm on board. What is, though, if you've been watching my spoiler discussions for The Last of Us, what is the one thing that I've been a bit nervous and down on for this season of The Last of Us? Because I'll admit, while I've enjoyed this season of The Last of Us, and it's made me cry and it's made me feel and all the things that the first season did, and perhaps even more emotional than the first season, the one thing that has given me pause about Season 2 and has made me, I think definitively in my head, and again, finale, we'll see what happens in the finale, but definitively put it a step below the first season in my head, is that I just don't feel like this season has been a satisfying narrative on the whole. Individual episodes, I'm talking about especially episodes 2 and 6, have been resonant, have been emotional, have been truly some of the best storytelling I've ever seen. Episode 1 was great. I thought episode 3 was really good. 4 and 5 were a little meandering. And 5 was good. 5 was solid, but if you kind of look at just what's happening in the story from episode 3 to episode 5, it's felt a little empty. And I'm not talking about filler, right? I don't think it's filler, but it just feels like the momentum halts and starts and stops and goes in different directions. And I don't know what to expect from the finale. And my thought here, because The Last of Us Season 2 is only, and I say only, but only 7 episodes. And I have to wonder, having not played the games, I should preface all this by saying, having not played the games, having not knowing what the story of Season 3 and 4 is going to be, relative to Season 2, and maybe for all I know, if I played the games, I would have thought the exact same thing. Oh, of course we have to have 3 seasons for this game. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But having not played the games and just examining season 2 on its own, it makes me think, could we not have fit more narrative into this season? Because it feels like, not that it's inconsequential, it's a lot of great character development and emotional moments, but the story feels like it's suffering a little bit. That's just me. So I'm very curious because, I mean, if you're going to make season 4, let alone season 3, great. But if we kind of take a step back at the end of the day, once it's all said and done, and we go, I don't get why it needed to be 4 seasons, kind of a la Hobbit. You know, Hobbit trilogy. Again, I don't hate the Hobbit trilogy. I've said this before on the YouTube channel. But of course, you can look at it and go, well, it should have been 2 movies. And I just hope we don't get to the point with that for The Last of Us where we go, it should have been at least, at the very most 2 seasons. I don't understand why it was 3 seasons. That's just my take. I've never played the games again, so I don't know for a fact. I don't know if I would have thought the same thing if I had played the game, but that's just my opinion about a season 4 of The Last of Us. Guys, what do you think about the potential that season 2 or part 2, the game of The Last of Us, will be split into 3 seasons, seasons 2, 3, and 4? Let me know in the comments down below.